Welcome back to the Insiders. Matt here. We're back again. This is another special guest episode for you. This is a slightly different one. Our guest is on talking about a brand new forecasting app for surf. It also has quite a lot of community aspects to the app as well. It's a really, really intriguing idea and really, really cool chat that we've had. I'll let you find out more about that in a second with the guest and the app name and everything that is coming in a couple of seconds. Just before that, I also want to mention for a good while now, myself and Darren have been big fans of DB Journey. We buy the product, we've used the product, we shout about the product, we trust the product, we love the product. We have now been set up with a code from DB Journey, an affiliate code for you guys. So if you head to the link in our bio on Instagram, you will find the code and a link that will take you straight to DB Journey and you can save money. The code is insiders and you will get 15% off your order. And if you use that link, it makes us look good too. So please do that. Without further ado, though, we're going to jump into our chat with our special guest. Enjoy the episode, loads more to come. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Welcome to the Insiders. And for everybody listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, this is Joey. And as you can tell by his t-shirt, he is from a company called Wavey. And Joey, can you tell us a little bit about what Wavey is, like an elevator pitch?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for noticing the merch. Just got it made. Very exciting times for everybody over at Wavey. Wavey is a new surf forecasting site slash app, which I guess combines the power of AI to learn from conditions and try and improve forecast accuracy over time. But I guess most importantly, relies on users and surfers and the community of surfers to kind of feed into this, to help train it and to kind of come together to try and build something new and different, and something which kind of provides not only more accurate forecasts but can help people with something that's a lot more personalized to them as well. Yeah, I'd say that's our key elevator pitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty exciting. I think I speak for a lot of surfers when I say that we don't just use one app or one website. You're forever checking one to another. Often believe in the one that suits you the most as well. Like one might say it's a bit shitty, one might say it's good, and you're like, well, I'll take the good one. So I think it's a really cool concept and a really cool idea. And I personally think it's probably something that's maybe needed in a way. I think there's, without naming names, some people out there who could do a lot more, and this might be a little wake up call for them. But where did this kind of start for you? Why did you decide to go down this path?
Yeah, I think to be honest, for anybody like as someone working, I guess now in the surf industry, I'm like pretty unusual profile, I would say. I started surfing quite late in life, like in my mid 20s. During COVID, I just basically started and completely fell in love with it instantly. But it was also during COVID, so you couldn't get any lessons. So I was like going out on this like foam board I bought off Amazon, my wife and I, every day we just go to the beach, no matter what the conditions. And yeah, it was like a pretty long learning curve for us, but we really, really like it completely. Learning to surf completely changed my life in so many ways. Before that, I was living in London, working in a big corporate job, and yeah, I guess surfing just kind of opened my eyes to everything in the natural world, and like genuinely changed the course of my life so much. Obviously, like many people who discover surfing, changed my whole life to fit around surfing, moved to different places, started traveling, started doing this, that. But yeah, when I moved back to the west of Ireland, then kind of realized this is an amazing place to surf. Like this is one of the best places in the world. And but I wasn't living close to the beach. I was about an hour and a half away. So like as someone who was both obsessed with surfing and couldn't easily surf, I was constantly checking the forecast, like all day, every day. I'd be in work watching the webcams, oh, is there like a little window on Saturday afternoon kind of thing? But at the same time, I got added into this WhatsApp group. I think I found it on Facebook, called West Coast Surf Conditions, which was a big WhatsApp group here in the west of Ireland, maybe 500 people in it. And everybody's like mostly strangers. These people don't really know each other. But every day, people would go to the spots and like take pictures and send in videos and just chat. Like people could ask, oh, is Strand Hill working? Can anyone send a picture of Rosnella or whatever? And there was just like really sound community of people who would willingly kind of share these updates from the spots and kind of chat with each other about their sessions and stuff like that. And I was kind of, to be honest, like kind of on the outside of this because I wasn't really ever at the spots to share these reports. So I was a recipient, I would say. But then at the same time, like had the experience of a lot of people, which is like I would drive an hour and a half, go to one of these spots and realize this is absolutely not what was forecasted. Either it was way too big, in which case, like at the time, I didn't even have a board I could duck dive, so like I couldn't get out the back, or it was completely flat and I've just had a 3 hour round trip for nothing.
Yeah.
And the idea for Wavy was basically like there are people at the spot saying it is good or it is not good. And then there is a forecast model which seems to never change, no matter like how many times it gets it wrong. It was just never changing to reflect that. So the idea behind Wavy was like, can we combine this kind of community angle of I've just had a session here, it was really good, or like it's barreling here, like probably don't go if you're a beginner, with a forecast model that is saying, it'll be 4 foot and clean. And to use those reports to train the model so that next time, this is where the whole AI angle came in, was like, yeah, to train the model so that next time it starts to reflect actually what people kind of said.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, that was the birth of the idea. And then from there, we've just had so many more ideas and more features and things that we've been able to build.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think that there's a lot of people out there, I moved to Cornwall like 2 years ago, and pretty much exclusively for 2 years, I would say 90% of my surfs have been on my own. And there's days where I'm glad I'm on my own, but there's also days where I've probably not surfed because there've been marginal conditions, and if I knew more people around here, or like if you see a group of people on a WhatsApp chat or whatever it is saying, "Oh, we're getting in," you kind of get, as surfers, we get FOMO. We don't, there could always be that one wave out there. So I think it's really cool that it leans on not just the forecasting and not just the um, accuracy of the forecasting stuff, which is obviously really important. But like I say, you can probably get that from if you're skilled enough, you could probably get that from 3 or 4 websites if you put them together. But I think what it sounds like this is doing is actually putting like real time information and learning models and making it as simplified as possible for people, which is kind of what's needed. There's a lot of chat about, oh, there's too many people surfing already and there's too many people at the spots, blah blah blah. But realistically, we're all like for surfing to survive, yeah, it's needed. And all of us, not even John came out of the womb knowing how to surf exactly where he should surf and going and learning. You need it, you need it. And that's why I think it's quite important that, you know, that you're trying to push Wavy, and that I think there's, like Magic Seaweed a long time ago now when is dead and gone, and everyone used it. It was the go-to thing to use, and everyone moaned about it, but everyone still used it. I also think that, from what I understand, especially where you are, there is a lack of webcams.
Mhm.
So I'm quite lucky in Cornwall, like some of the main spots and pretty much most of England, most of the main spots have got a webcam on them or somewhere close, and you can get a slight read. Um, but there are still spots where, even around here, where they're like in nooks and crannies where you're like working off of forecasts.
Yeah.
And I think from what I understand, Darren's not on the podcast, but he's in the south of France, like southwest Hossegor area. There's not a heap of webcams down there on again, the main spots there are, but like loads of other little nooks and crannies there's not. So I think it's quite important to have that, um, especially when you've got people at the spot.
Yeah, I mean, and this was something we like came up against early on, and is something that I think I don't know if we'll ever release a feature that's better than this, but we basically were like, right, webcams are two. We have two problems with webcams. One, there's not enough of them, but two, a webcam shows you what it's like right now. But if you're looking at the webcam, you're not surfing, right? So you're never like, unless you're like really close to the beach, you see the webcam, you're like, okay, I'll walk down. The webcam is it's a live view. So something we wanted to build in Wavy is like, can I get a picture of what it will look like in the future? And this is where it kind of becomes very cool because we now have huge database of images. I think we have like 800,000 images of spots now, taken from webcams and from users who go surfing, log a session, could do a condition report or whatever. And every time we get one of the images, we match it to the conditions forecasted at the time. So it like has a timestamp that's linked to conditions. And then in the future, if you're like scrolling through, the forecast for the weekend, we basically look to retrieve images where the conditions look like what's forecasted in the future, and we show that as what we call a future cam.
Yeah.
So it gives you a sense, and it's like there's a whole reel, and because we have so many images now of certain spots, especially, you can really get like, you'll see 100 images across 4 months or 5 months of different conditions, and each will have a percentage match to the forecast. So, yeah, I hope that that gives people like a much better understanding of, are these conditions going to be good for me? Are they a little too big? In which case, it's clear this isn't the time and the place for me, or they're too small, or they're just right. And yeah, to your point about kind of crowding and promoting spots and stuff like that. I think this is just a very very fine balance that we as a new entrant into this kind of need to strike. On the one hand, surfing should be accessible for everybody. I came to it late in life, and if I didn't have people who took me surfing and welcomed me into the sport, like I would never have really discovered it. The other element is obviously a lot of people's livelihoods depend on it, surf schools and coaches and everything. So more people surfing isn't a bad thing, but at the same time, like you also need to respect that certain spots are less well known, certain spots are dangerous, certain spots can handle crowds. So I think something we try really hard with Wavy is like we want to strike the balance between like accessibility and personalization of the forecast. So you're getting recommended to go surfing at a time and a place that's like good for your level and kind of isn't gonna be dangerous in any way. But then also respecting that, yeah, we're not here to try and ruin surfing or to try and ruin people's experiences of spots that they've, cherished for years. That's not really what we're here to do.
Yeah, 100%. And there was something I wanted to ask because well, God knows when it was now, but we done an episode about localism and Morocco and things like that. And I made this comment where I said, I think Surfline could add, they have, if you click into the apps, and I know Magic Seaweed used to do this, if you click deeper into the apps and into the spots, sometimes they have like spot guides, right? But I
Mhm.
feel like somewhere as part of the front screen of a forecasting should be like a sort of identification of like this is quite a heavy localized spot. This is
Yeah,
a like for example, if you're talking about a beach that has surf schools on it, it's not a localized spot and it's not a spot you need to protect, right? But if you're talking about a spot where it is fully protected, or if it's quite fickle and the locals do hold it down a bit, um, or another element of like if it's dangerous and things like that, I believe that the forecasting apps have some sort of responsibility nowadays to the wider surfing population of like, you know, don't if you're going to make it that that spot is more well known than it used to be, that's fine, but add the element of, this is a spot where locals are a little bit precious, or it's a difficult entry and exit from the water because that's the other element, right? Is adding more surfers and everything's all good. But if you, especially in Ireland, right, if you've got a spot where it's a rock jump off and you've got to find a keyhole to come back in and things like that, if you're a beginner surfer and you're a little bit naive to the powers of the ocean or anything like that, and suddenly you get in trouble and you're on your own, you're putting other people at risk at that point as well. So it would be cool. I don't know if your app has it, but I feel like that would be a new evolution of what surfing forecast apps should also have.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the spot guides, and also one of the things, again, back to this community element with Wavy, is people update their own spots. Like I've done my best to retrieve the data for each of these spots, but half these places I've never even been, never even heard of them. So we rely on people who are local to the spot to go in and update. And it's not just like, writing out the spot guides. It's kind of what tides does it work on, what swells does it work on, because that is necessary to improve the forecast. But I think the thing you've touched on, which is like genuinely, I really can't believe that people hadn't done this before, is like surf forecasting should be personalized to you. And that's something that Wavy we want to do really well. It's not just like you come, you see if it's green or red, you leave. It's like you come when you're onboarding, we ask you a bunch of questions about you, your level, how long you've been surfing, what kind of waves you like. Then we get you to log sessions when you go surfing, like where did you surf, when did you surf. We obviously then know what the conditions were like, how did you find it, that kind of thing. And Wavy becomes this kind of it's a surf journal that evolves with you and learns who you are, what kind of surfer you are, what do you like, what do you not like, and will then recommend times and places for you to go based upon that. So if, for example, I've logged 5 to 10 sessions in Wavy, like it knows I'm an intermediate surfer. It knows, yeah, maybe I'm on my shortboard, but like I'm definitely not getting barreled. I definitely don't want to be doing any rock jump stuff. Like it knows that because it knows where I've been surfing. So when it's saying these are the recommended times for you to surf this week based on your work schedule or whatever, it's not going to tell me to go to those places. And I think that's something that's really important. And something like that would have helped me so much when I was learning to surf.
Yeah.
Like so much. All I needed, because the journey between the whitewater and then, being out the back, going sideways along a wave, you really need this like perfect window where, because you're still on a big board, you need to be able to get out the back. It needs to be not too big, not too crowded. And like we can definitely build that for people. We can definitely help people at all levels to improve and go on that journey with their surfing. And that's super exciting for us.
Yeah, I feel like that's the part that so I've started using Wavy the last couple of weeks and um that's the part that's getting me in trouble with the misses and with like when I've got work on because it will be like yeah, it look Saturday, for example, Valentine's Day, and it popped up and it was like 3 p.m. It's going to be like perfect conditions at where I surf, and I was like, I pretended that I'd got a message off of someone because it came up as a WhatsApp message, and was like, oh, someone's asked me to go surf, and I forgot I said yes because and I went. To be fair, it was fine. She needs a bit of time away from me, but I think it is all jokes aside, I think it is a really cool feature because we not everyone's as lucky as this, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you do forget to check the forecast or especially in England and Ireland and other places, forecast has changed day to day. Like I could look now for what Saturday is going to be like, and when I look tomorrow, it's going to be wrong or different, and then again different. So I might look at Saturday and go, "Oh, yeah, no point even bothering." And then on Friday, get a message going, "Oh, have you seen Saturday?" And I'll be like, "What? Oh, okay." And then see it, and the wind's changed or something, and I'm like, "Right, I'm not going to miss." And so I think that's a really, really cool feature to be able to, and to know it's not just going to be like, oh, check out this forecast that's not personalized. So it's like, oh, check out the forecast for Saturday, and I go on and it's still shit. Or it says it's going to be 25 foot. Like, because I would have it's just another pointless notification. To know that
Yeah.
it's personalized is cool.
Yeah, I think that's like something that we really, really want to build out, which is like everybody's time is precious and people have family and commitments and stuff, there's a brief window in the week when you can really enjoy your favorite pastime. And for us, we just want to work as hard as possible to be like, look, we know Matt is an intermediate to advanced surfer, surfs in these spots, these are his windows. Like, we're just going to watch out for that all the time for you and let you
Yeah.
know when it's working. And also, if you just go in and you're like, I think I could do Sunday morning early, doesn't look good at the moment, we're going to release this next week, is like, you can just click watch this window for me, and we'll
Right.
just
Yeah.
ping you a notification if it changes. But this kind of then leads into something we spoke about before, which really for me is probably the most important thing that I want to build with Wavy, which is like bringing in a community angle. When I was learning to surf, I even still don't really have that many surf friends, or my surf friends live in different places. And I think, being out in the water alone is nice sometimes, but being out there with like friends who you can kind of share the stoke with and you can catch waves with is like super nice, even if they're not really good friends. And I think we want to use Wavy as a platform to like connect people, so that you can paddle out with new people, build a bit of a local community where you can schedule to go surfing together, even if it's a bit tacit. Yeah, even if it's just, oh, I might be around, yeah, I might go out. Like, for Wavy to be a place where you can see, oh, there's a group of people, kind of group of intermediates paddling out Saturday morning, I might join in. Um, and for Wavy to be a place where surfers can connect, go surfing together, and kind of create, a bit more of a community out of what is feels sometimes like a pretty solo endeavor, and also can be kind of a solo endeavor in an environment that is like, it's quite busy out there. There's a lot of people. You're feeling a bit uneasy, especially if you're not super advanced. So yeah, really, really excited to build out a bit more like a platform where people can kind of come together and have that experience.
Yeah, I think that's really cool and really important as well, because I also think, like, so I do it a few, I've got a couple of, well, 2 points to that is, I don't know how this has happened, mainly partly because of my job, but I end up that most of the people I surf with are like elite level, like good friends with people who like to hunt out hollow barrels and weird wedgy waves that feel like I'm gonna die. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, I want to come and surf with you. And they're like, yeah, it's just going to be fun. It'll be fun size. Then you rock up and it's like 6 foot, like low tide barrels. I'm like, I'm going to die. Um, and the other thing, the other thing for me is that sometimes, like, you see the board behind me is bright pink, right? And sometimes we'll have a group chat and I'll be like, right, I'm going to go here at 11, around 11. And people are like, oh, I might have to go a little bit later, or I might have to go a little bit earlier. And then I just message and be like, sick, getting in. I'm on bright pink board if you see me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not going to go because there's no one to go with. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, well, if they know I'm on a pink board and then they paddle up to me if they do come out, like, sweet. Like, so I think that's really cool. The other thing I think is really cool is something we spoke about, which is and you mentioned it earlier, is like logging the sessions, as well as that's cool for like Wavy and the forecasting to improve and etc. I think it's a really important thing for a personal development as a surfer. So I log down every single time I surf on an iPhone note. But it just says where it was and the month. So it doesn't say the date and it doesn't say the size or the conditions. And wish that I could go back and see what I was mostly surfing 2 years ago to what I mostly surfed last year to what I mostly have been surfing this year. And one of the things we discussed, obviously, and you mentioned that, is when you log that, you can log where you're surfing in the conditions, which I think is really important too.
Yeah, and we wanted to make that as easy as possible for people to do as well. So we've built this WhatsApp integration. So now all you need to do is just like send a message on WhatsApp, and we log the session for you, and it's available in the Wavy app.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody's got a lot of apps. Everybody's got like too many notifications, too many emails. We're just trying to make this fit as seamlessly as possible into your daily life, so that you can just send a picture of a spot when you've surfed, or send your session, and then just get a notification when it's good for you. And it doesn't need to kind of be like me in the original days, just like having a separate screen on with the forecast all the time, trying to see when I can surf. We kind of want Wavy to just make this as easy as possible for people.
Yeah, it's like having a PA, but for just for your surfing,
Yeah.
which is really cool. I wanted to ask, so is this, so obviously we have quite a lot of listeners in the UK, but in the States, in France, a lot in Australia, some in Germany, which is weird, probably doesn't apply to Germany. But
Germans love to
but
surf. They absolutely, anywhere you go, there's a load of Germans surfing.
yeah,
It's great.
they love to surf. So this probably applies to them in terms of the question, but not to them as a region. But is this worldwide? Are you covering the world, or are you focusing on Europe just for now, or what is it? Well, yeah,
Yeah, very good question. So you can add your own spots anywhere in the world. You can add either a private spot or a public spot, and we will give you forecast for it immediately, pretty much. And you can all the same features. You can improve the forecast by logging sessions. In terms of us then doing international rollouts, we started in Ireland. People absolutely loved it. Like, it was so, like, I'm so grateful to the early users in Ireland who helped build this. Like, this was not me building this. This was, 80 people in a WhatsApp group who kind of built this as a community. So we've gone from Ireland to the UK. Again, like, response has been super positive, really excited about it. And yeah, the plan is to continue rolling out, possibly Oz next, and then eventually to the US, and onwards, basically. I think for me, I've never done anything like this before, so I don't really know how to tell people about stuff, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I've never done any marketing or any distribution of digital products in the past, so I'm just kind of learning as I go, and I'm learning with the users who are just helping to continue to improve it and stuff. But the important thing about Wavy is, like, this isn't just going to be us giving people, here's your forecast, like, this is the product. We want it to become hyper localized, super accurate in your locality, people near you logging sessions, scheduling group surfs. So yeah, it's important for us to go at a pace that means that we can actually, like, continue to tailor and improve the product for people, rather than just like, here you go, here's all the surf spots in the world, half of them won't even work, but like, we don't really care. That's not how we want to do it.
yeah. Do you think that takes away a little bit of the pressure off of you guys as well for like, so not mentioning names again, but certain places like certain forecasting apps have regional reps, right, that do write-ups for spots and write-ups for like the forecasts for those areas and stuff like that. And I wonder, especially in like the really hardcore places like Oz and the US, where like more and more and more people surf. Like if they write up a thing and it says like, oh right, it's going to be chest to shoulder high and it's going to be super fun and offshore all day, and then midday the wind switch on that day and it goes shitty. I wonder if like in that local community, the person who's known, because they will be known because they publish their names and stuff on the thing. There's obviously like an element of pressure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Whereas I feel like in a way this eliminates the element of like having a localized guide like an individual because it's based on the information that the region puts back into it. So it's almost like when you said about when you're distributing it or trying to get the word across, it's almost like the more people that use it and the more people that like give their time into it, the better it's going to be for your area.
100%. And that, like, when we were designing I guess, the business model, like how we can make money to support this, we were like, right, some features have to be on a pro tier, and so, like, some features will be on the free tier. And the free tier is like, you'll always get a forecast. You'll always get an hourly forecast for as many spots as you want on the free tier. You can pay to go on the pro tier. It's like not very expensive, but if you log your sessions or report conditions or feed into it, you get on the pro tier for free.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
we
That makes
really
sense.
like that model. I want to keep it for as long as possible, because it, like, the whole app improvement relies on the community. It relies on the users, like, helping to grow the app.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we don't have money to pay people for that yet anyway, but hopefully we can, reward them with all the pro features and then not having to pay for the app. And I think the more people that feed into it, the more accurate it becomes, both for them on a personal level, because it understands them and helps them improve their surfing. But I guess for the community, for their local spots, and hopefully for the industry that kind of relies on it as well.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. I think that's because again, you can almost say to someone like because there's two challenges, I guess, is getting people to look at it and then getting people to continue to use it over and over. Where you could say to someone, right, you're on the pro tier because you fed back into it. And then 3 months down the line, you might be able to message them and say, look, you haven't fed anything back for the last 3 months. Is everything okay? Like, and if it's not, then you just switch them down to the basic because if they're not using it, then that's fair enough. But I think you're doing the right thing in almost like rewarding people up front and trusting people and asking for their help because then it will drive them to come back or it should do for sure. Um, so I think that's really cool. So for now, this is Ireland and England, and then obviously like you're
And Scotland and Wales,
yeah, sorry, yeah,
obviously.
yeah, the British Isles. Uh, uh, sorry,
We've had people adding some random spots. So we've had someone like adding spots in Argentina and stuff. So
okay,
yeah,
sick.
it's starting to get out, which is like it's really cool to see that stuff. I'm so stoked to have more people use it. And at the moment, we have a feed, which is like, I don't know, like Strava or something, where you go on and you can see people's sessions and condition reports. And people can anonymize these, or they can choose not to have them in the feed. Most people do put them in the feed, but uh, we had this discussion around like, do we just try and localize the feed so you're only seeing people near you, which probably we will do for now. But I think it's so cool seeing people like logging sessions in the west of Ireland, in Cornwall, up in like the Hebrides. It's so sick that we just like, I don't know, for now, just having this live feed of people surfing everywhere is like so cool.
Yeah. Well, that weirdly, this is like a tangent, and this is why I love doing this podcast, right? Because I don't have any notes, and I never know where these poddies are going to go. But so when I used to work and run board shop, I wanted to integrate something into the website, which is just um, triggered something that what I wanted on the website was basically you could build a profile, and so it'd have like my name, my photo, my height and weight, where I'm based, and then my surfboards, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then so and then what I wanted to do was build a community. So say for example, you had a little notification saying like latest board or new board. So I bought like the newest board out, right? Album Disorder behind me. Um, Someone's interested in that board, they can message me and be like, "Oh, I've been looking at that board for ages. Like, how does it go? Is it good? Is it bad? Blah blah blah." We didn't get to that point, like tech wise and everything else, which is all good. But I feel like potentially in the future on Wavy, two things really is you could build that so that when you log a session, it's I was surfing here at this time on this board, or even
Mm.
what type of board it is. Um, and then further on from that, it could be something that you potentially integrate with a
Yeah.
a shop or a partner to say, look, we've got all of this information, we've got all of these people asking all of these questions on boards, blah blah blah. Anyway, weird tangent on the podcast that people
No,
might find interesting.
it's such a good idea that in fact we do have, when you log a session, you select a board, but not, it doesn't do brands or anything. It's just like
Mm.
longboard, shortboard, fish or
Yeah,
whatever. And the reason I did that initially was because I want to get to a stage when, on these conditions, 75% of people rate 4 out of 5 on their longboard. Like I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
be, I was for a long time a longboard rider, and have recently started moving down to shortboard, but I still love my longboard. Like that's
Of
my
course.
favorite board. So I'm like, yeah, I want to know, are these conditions too big for the longboard? Do people surf, at this spot on these conditions with the longboard? But I love the idea of, yeah, opening it up and trying to. I definitely really want to keep working with partners in the industry with surf shops and stuff because A, they just know loads of surfers, and B, hopefully we can be some kind of platform for that. One thing I will say is if anybody runs any surf schools or surf shops, we you can advertise for free on Wavy, um,
Sick.
just at your local spot. So just hit us up. We'll put up an ad for you for free, and hopefully it works because people then are like, can I go here and find rentals? And we have the
Yeah.
spots all up there.
What I find, what I like about this and why this caught my attention to chat with you and to look into it further is especially in the UK, the surf industry and the technology around it and the user experience is I would say it's outdated, especially compared to other sports and other um, industries. But what I like this is coming in disruptively, but in a very positive disruption. And that's where I feel like yeah, surf schools can advertise. And like I think not right now, because I think the key thing to do is get the user experience nailed. But I definitely think that there's a new way of like working in terms of, you know, data is really important to shops and to things, and a shop could look at coming to you and you go and look, and again localized, right? So you could be like, well, this community feed, they're talking about boards and they're all in um Ireland, and you could go and see Andy at Trogs, or
Yeah.
you know, if you're in Cornwall, there's certain shops, and if you're in southwest of France, kind of thing. So I just really like it because it is positively disruptive, which is only going to help improve things. One question I did want to ask, because it's probably the most important question, and we've left it to like the right at the end. So, how and where can people find this?
Wavysurf.com, and also just search Wavy in the Google Play Store and the App Store. I guess the app in the iOS store will be out by the time the podcast is out. I submitted it for review today, but
Oh,
yeah,
so,
so
like,
basically everywhere. And the app, we kind of want the app to become the play. Like with an app, you can do a lot more in terms of
yeah.
notifications and stuff. So yeah, you can find it at wavysurf.com.
Sweet, excited for the app, and excited to see where it goes, and also, you know, if there's more help that we can do, and we can obviously get Darren on to start logging some Southwest France spots as well, if he can work out how to do it, which will be cool. But yeah, this fingers crossed the app application goes well. I'm hoping that we can publish this next week. We've actually got like a really nice little busy period. We've just dropped an episode with Ryan Lovelace, which definitely recommend anyone go listen to. We've actually got another special guest episode coming out on Sunday, so this will probably follow mid next week. So hopefully by that point, um, everyone could go and find the apps at all of your wherever you get your regular apps, so at the Apple Store, or if you're a weirdo with a Android phone, wherever you get those apps. Um, and yeah, but really stoked. I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm really excited because what I want to do is potentially, you know, have another podcast set up for 6 months' time, see where we're
That'd
at
be
in a year's time, be hearing about all of the progress and everywhere we're going. And you know, me and Darren definitely need a little trip out to Ireland, so that's on the cards as well.
awesome. Hit me up. Yeah, I think the one thing I would just say at the end is like I have on purpose put my WhatsApp number on the website. So if anybody uses it and has feedback on how to make it better, just like literally drop me a message because
Sick.
I think that's the best way to do it. We have a group WhatsApp, a community WhatsApp where people helping to build Wavy, but yeah, we just want to hear from users as much as possible and continue to build what they want.
Yeah, that's sick. And I think that's when you can suggest a change that makes sense and then you see it come into action, you feel even more part of the app and of the progress of that. And you can tell people, oh yeah, that was me, like kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
that is really cool. I haven't got to that point yet, but I'll be completely honest. Since we last chatted, I think I've surfed like 3 times, and it's been rushed rubbish. But the surf on Saturday did actually really help with the notification, so we're already there.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Thanks, man. Well, thanks so much for your time. And like I say, we'll keep in touch and we'll be using it. So yeah, thanks again.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.